Welcome to the PG Pirates Show. My name is Adam Bittner. I'm joined by Jason Mackey, our usual Thursday spot here on the channel, talking all things Pirates. Great to talk with our Post-Gazette sports columnist who has some of the best takes out there on the team. Jason, the Paul Skenes extension talk ramped up this week. There was some chatter by Dan Zangrilli, the pre- and post-game show host on 93.7 The Fan. Popped up in some other circles as well. What are you reading into that chatter? What do you know about the situation? And do you expect the Pirates to get a deal done with Paul Skenes at some point?
Yeah, let me work backwards on that, Adam. No, I don't expect a deal to get done. I have maintained, and I'm not moving off of this, it's a non-starter until the Pirates win. And that's no offense to anybody, but Paul Skenes wants to be on a winner. And you can make all the reasonable sense in the world about, and I've seen a lot of this out there, and it started with that conversation, but like you can say, oh, it's going to be this many free agency years. Oh, they can buy out this in ARB. This is what the projection is going to be. You can run numbers all you want. It comes down to one thing. He wants to win. And if the Pirates aren't winning, this is a useless conversation. Now, if the Pirates win, sure, let's have that discussion. I think that would be much more productive on both sides. It would change the Pirates' economics. I think it would probably change Skenes' openness. Winning sort of rules all here. But to the first part of the thing with Zangrilli, and he was on with Andrew Filipponi, and I took that as something being taken out of context. It has happened to me before. Andrew loves doing it. I love him. He's a friend, but he gets a little overeager sometimes and needs to rein it in. I don't think it's a great thing to be tweeting live quotes from somebody talking on the radio without complete context. I don't think it's a great thing for professional journalists to be doing that. And so it created a whole mess of stuff for everybody involved. No, the Pirates are not actively working on an extension for Paul Skenes. That's what Andrew said. That is wrong. Would the Pirates be open to it? Yes. Did they approach it one point? I believe they tried to have the conversation. I don't know. I mean, to my knowledge, no offers have ever been made. And it's just not at that point. Again, because of what I said before, winning. So if they win, I think that's a conversation that could happen. Until then, the priority is winning. And I think everybody got way ahead of themselves based on, Dan was answering a question about whether, there was interest or whether there was, maybe a brush at a conversation. And I don't doubt that the reality there, but I don't think it ever got very far down the line. In fact, I know it didn't because of what I mentioned.
Let me ask this, and this might be nuanced and a little bit into baseball contract nerd crap, but is there any incentive? Is there any incentive for them let's forget the free agent years, because obviously whenever he gets to free agency, he's going to get a massive number that the Pirates can't pay. Is there any incentive for them to talk about the arbitration years alone? From the Pirates' perspective of getting cost certainty, and from Paul Skenes' perspective of having pen to paper to $100 million between now and his free agency years, just hypothetically. That's usually the argument for why these early extensions get done with guys who are, Paul Skenes' age is, listen, you can get a big payday right now and still get to free agency and get another big payday then, and maybe get a third contract at some point, depending upon where you sign. I think a lot of Pirates fans would settle for, they know Paul Skenes is going to be here for the duration of time that the team can control him anyway, hypothetically.
Yeah, I get that. I do think he'll be here for a lot of when the team controls him. I mean, if you think about it, Adam, I don't think he's going to get $30 million in ARB, at least not the first time through. If you look at projections for starting pitchers versus position players, they're different. Now, I know that Skenes is going to be a bit of a trendsetter in that regard, as he should be. Should be paid a lot. But I don't think it's going to be $30 million at least the first time through. So next year's on a bargain. And let's say they do 2 years and, 25 and 30, 35, something like that. Like, is that still worth it to the Pirates to pay that amount of money? Absolutely it is. Absolutely. It's still a gigantic bargain. I don't know why you wouldn't, as long as you're competitive. So I guess I just don't understand, if you're the Pirates, what's your incentive to do something, to buy out the ARB years? Like, what you're basically doing is I'm gonna take the gamble that this guy doesn't blow his elbow out, all so I can pay the money that I was already going to pay anyway. Like it's maybe going to engender goodwill among fans. I don't know. If I'm the Pirates and I want to spend $100 million to engender goodwill among fans, I'm gonna go buy some bats. That's what I would do. I don't. In like, if you're gonna stay with Paul Skenes, that's great. You should. But like, that's just a good business decision. Just keep paying the guy through ARP. I'm not assuming the risk on his elbow. The time to get something done with Skenes, honestly, was long ago, before he made his MLB debut, before he even pitches an inning in the major leagues. Go approach him, and that's when you make that contract offer. And that's when you try to get a year or two of free agency. I think it's just too far down the road, Adam. I mean, I think if I'm Paul Skenes and I want to win and I want to maximize my money, I'm going to play chicken with the Pirates and say, put a team in front of me and we'll talk, or trade me, or I'm going to go somewhere else. Either way, I'm going to win. I'm going to bet on myself, and I can pitch well. I'm going to make a lot of money through arbitration. I could wind up on a winner. I'm going to have this record-setting payday, whatever. That's not a bad thing. And if I'm the Pirates, I'm probably saying I don't want to assume all that risk on a guy blowing out his elbow. So that's just, anyway, it's a long-winded way of saying I don't see something working out here.
Yeah, I tend to agree, Jason, and I think he's pitched to such a degree that I don't even know if an arm injury would derail a massive payday on the other side of it.
No, I don't think it would.
Because we've seen pitchers of his caliber go through this and bounce back and still make a gajillion dollars in their career. So I don't even know if the risk for him is really that big, that even if you do blow out your arm and you miss a year and a half or even 2 years, that when you come back on the other side, there isn't going to be money for you.
It's assumed at this point you're going to have Tommy John. Like I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but like sometime between now and when he's 36, he's probably going to have Tommy John. Happens to everybody. Like, I don't see it affecting anything. If I'm Paul Skenes, I'm saying I'm betting on myself. And if you want to put a winner here, I mean, I've maintained this, and I will say it right now. He really likes Pittsburgh. He'd love if it worked out, and it's no hard feelings. It's he's not going to stay in a situation where he can't win. I don't think anybody watching this would begrudge the dude for that. You win, let's talk. But until we win, this is probably useless.
Agreed, Jason. We're going to talk about your Ke'Bryan Hayes column on the other side of this break. Maybe get a little Hunter Barco, Bubba Chandler talk in there. Talk a little Dennis Santana. What's going on with the team beyond Paul Skenes? Before we do, just want to pass along a message from our friends at Greenwalt Roofing.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenwalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenwalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense. From rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenwalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenwalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenwaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262.
Jason, we're back on our PG Pirates show. You wrote an interesting article about Ke'Bryan Hayes and how he's sort of the microcosm for everything that has gone wrong with the Pirates, generally speaking, as he makes his return to Pittsburgh after the trade to the Reds this weekend. Can you take me, through that column a little bit and what motivated you to write it? And I'll add a second question to that. And how does Bob Nutting not see that?
I know. I think he does. I truly believe that he does. Now, is he acting with the necessary sense of urgency? No, he's not. Ben Cherington should be gone. He should have been gone long ago. And what they're carrying out here is flawed. And I don't know why. I mean, it's not the first bad succession of hiring, firing that has ever occurred on the Nutting tenure. But anyway, what motivated me to write it was honestly him coming back tonight and me just thinking about how I consider Ke'Bryan Hayes' tenure. And I covered a lot of it. I wrote about the John Nunnally incident in there. I broke the John Nunnally incident. I broke him coming up to the majors. I was there for the duration of his career. And it's just like he is the player at the center of many of their failed experiments. And there are many character traits, and I stopped at 3, but there are a lot of them there, and things that have defined this regime that pop up with Ke'Bryan Hayes. And some of what I outlined there, when they signed him, 8 years, $70 million, at the time was the largest contract in franchise history, they were basically betting that this offense would grow into something. They say, we're going to hedge our bets and he's going to become a good hitter. Well, he didn't. Not a good hitter, at least not here. And that became a consistent trend. They can't find offense. They can't find offense anywhere. They can't bet on hitters the way they thought they could do with Key Bryant. It was also ego. When John Nunnally was working with him, they got all mad because nobody communicated with them. And, there was an issue with Nunnally and Shelton. At the end of the season, they fired Nunnally because he got through to a player. Think about that. They've talked about player-centric culture. We have to help players. We have to do the best thing for players. This guy did the best thing for a player. He helped them in a way that nobody else in the organization has been able to help them. He should have been on the major league staff, not out of a job. It was ego. Somebody's ego got hurt, whether that was Cherington, Shelton, or both. It's completely ridiculous. And then the third thing, it was whenever Ben was on his radio show last week, talking about we would never trade a player for the sake of dumping a salary, and then outlining the reasons why. Like, it's just tone deafness. That Cherington has done this so many times where he says something, he doesn't know how people are going to respond. Like, I understand what they did with Keith
or doesn't care how they're going to respond.
No, I own it. Yeah, I guess it's probably the same thing. Like, I genuinely don't think he thought how that would sound to people, Adam. I mean, how would you take that?
Like,
I'm curious. I'm like kind of too close to it in this way.
No, I mean, he just comes across to me. Neil Huntington, to me, seemed to care very much what people outside thought, and did seem to read a lot of his own press. Ben Cherington presents to me, being a layer more removed than you, as someone who just genuinely does not care. He's not trying to prove anything to anyone. He's just doing the job he wants to do, and doing the bare minimum in terms of communicating to the public, but he doesn't seem to care to me at all, nearly to the degree that Neil Huntington or Frank Coonley did. I think I'd throw Travis Williams into the same boat. Those two guys, Huntington and Coonley, were wrong, but passionately wrong about certain things. I don't see the passion from this regime. They just seem to be above it all and not really care, and that's how you end up in PR situations like they did early in the year, and that is how you end up in baseball situations like they are now.
But he's also said things that are not rooted in reality. Like, remember last year at the end of the season, I'm talking about Ben Cherington, said how they've made meaningful progress. You won the same number of games as the previous year.
But I just take that as empty. Yeah, but I take that as like it's empty. Like, what would a boilerplate general manager say in that position? And that's what he says. It's low effort, doesn't care type of stuff.
Yeah, but then I guess what bothered me too is he followed it up with 3 reasons to justify the trade. When all you could have come out and said is, look, Key Bryant's a wonderful player. He hasn't hit. We need somebody who can hit. If we're going to spend $7 million in this market, I need to get offense from that position. He's an elite defender, and we wish him the best, and he's a good kid, but it just wasn't the right fit for us. So we found a trade that we liked, and we're going to spend those $7 million differently. There, I've answered the question in 15 seconds in a way that would not incite the fan base. And yet he goes through this long-winded way of saying you do it because you like the return. People are criticizing the high A prospect that they got. He's unaware of this, I guess. And then that there's somebody else you have to play. You have Jared Triolo and his 226 average who's going to get the bulk of the reps there. And then that they're going to spend that payroll a different way or whatever, like not aware of the scar tissue that Pirates fans have built up, not only about look, the money you've spent it horribly, but obviously you haven't spent enough for anybody's liking. It either doesn't care or doesn't realize. It's really something.
Jason, Noah in his mailbag video tossed around what's going on with Hunter Barco, with Bubba Chandler. I think we've been looking for answers why Andrew Heaney is still here. Can you arrive at any other conclusion than service time manipulation?
I mean, I don't think it's service time manipulation with those two. With Barco and Chandler, you're talking about?
We were talking about is Bubba Chandler going to be here in April or May? In the same way you talked about Paul Skenes. And now he's still not here. Is that part of the motivation to keep Andrew Heaney to eat innings so you can leave him down there so you're having the same conversation, going into next season, and you've essentially bought yourself a year of service time with whatever is remaining on Andrew Heaney's contract?
I think there are parts of that I agree with, not all of it. And believe me, I'm not endorsing the decision. Like, they should have traded Andrew Heaney. I'm concerned the part that Cherington can't say out loud is that nobody wanted Andrew Heaney. And he would never say that because you're burying a player. But based on how Andrew Heaney is pitched, based on what his contract is, I guess you could have taken a bucket of balls back, just literally anything to execute a trade. But that's sort of my suspicion. I don't think at this point, I don't think it's enough service time that they would manipulate that. I think there's enough of a desire, Adam, at least to do this in ways that doesn't financially stretch them to be better in 2026. You need to get Bubba Chandler up here in experience so he can contribute next season. It should not be any question whether he's in your 2026 opening day rotation. He needs to be there, and the time to get acclimated is now. So I think it's a matter of him getting on a better footing. Back in May, were they maybe worried about Super 2 because things were going so poorly and they weren't going to screw with it? I don't doubt that. I think there's probably some truth there. But right now, I think, and the last thing I would say about the Heaney, Pham, IKF thing, I wouldn't put it past the GM that he decided to keep those guys because it would help the win total a little bit and maybe save his own butt. I don't know. That's another conspiracy theorist thing.
Jason, the fallout from the trade deadline is Dennis Santana has become the quasi-closer, has blown a couple of saves already. Is that the textbook example of why you flip a reliever at his maximum value, or did they still need to keep him around if you're not going to have David Bednar?
Yeah, I think we're overreacting to a couple outings. I mean, I think they should be criticized for the David Bednar trade, but I think they should be criticized for the return and feeling like you had to do it now. If you got legitimate return in a trade for David Bednar, it would make a ton of sense. You have somebody who's going to make $9 million next year. That's probably overpaid for his role. You can recreate it a different way. You can look at this guy last year who was in really bad shape, and then all of a sudden he's rebuilt his value, and then you maxed out on a trade. I don't have any problem with that. And if you want to look at what they need to do for 2026 and continuing to compete, you're not getting better by jettisoning. If you jettison, that's hard to say.
Jettisoning.
Jettisoning. Yeah, that is right. If you get rid of David Bednar and Dennis Santana both, you need to keep one. So, I get it. I'm just not going to react to a couple of outings. Santana historically has bad numbers at Coors Field. Let's just let the water find its level a little bit. Santana probably wasn't as good as he was pitching before they went to Denver. I think it'll even out. I think he'll be fine.
Any final thoughts on the Pirates this week? Things that are sticking out to you, Jason?
I think we covered a lot, man. I'm excited to see Bubba Chandler. I'm not burying this team for good. A lot of people seem to want to say that they need to rebuild or that Bob Nutting's doing this to move them after the lease expires in 2030 or these, big, giant, big picture thoughts. I think what they're doing this year is dumb. I don't agree with it. I think they should have moved on from the GM, but I do think there's a path forward for this offseason. And here's what I mean, and I'm going to get out of here on this. If you would guarantee they get rid of Cherington, you bring in a new GM and you say, look, we don't want to rebuild. We want to try to compete in 2026 because we have Paul Skenes. We also want to keep Donnie Kelly. We like the manager. But here's as much money as we can possibly give you. We're going to raise payroll, and we want you to go assemble the best team possible with actual baseball players. That's the way you win fans back, get them on your side. Raise payroll and have a new guy come in here and go buy Major League Baseball players and do the best thing you can this offseason. Have a busy, fun offseason. I think fan sentiment will change. So I hope they do that.
But if they don't do that, Jason, then this could be its whole own podcast. But when is it valid to start asking questions about the league?
Now, right now. Long ago. They should be criticized. They should be ripped. They're not doing enough to, I write this all the time. Fans seemingly care more than they do based on their actions. And, I think that's inaccurate because I know and deal with a lot of people inside the organization that care a great deal. And they're very upset about what's happening right now. But based on the organization's actions, that's not reciprocating how much fans care about this stuff. So the decision-making is backwards. A lot of it is Bob Nutting. A lot of it is their feeling that, you sign up for the 2025 season. It means you keep Cherington for all this stuff. No, it doesn't. He hasn't done enough to earn his position in year 6 of a regime change. They're bad. You can admit that. I was as open-minded as anybody, giving them a chance. And we went over this on the trade deadline thing, and I started flipping out, and I'm going to flip out again. But like, you try to hear them rationally and give them the benefit of the doubt and show me what you're doing. They haven't done it. So like, why are you going to continue to tolerate it? If they don't make any changes, yeah, of course people should ask questions.
Yeah. And listen,
I don't ask questions. Sorry. I mean, it's just, you should be mad.
I don't think the Pirates are over there because I don't think you can sell this act in any other city that doesn't have 100+ years of established baseball fandom in this way. But I understand why people are doing it. And I think it's probably due time for them to be asked like a couple of questions of like, are you behaving in a way that a team that expects to be in Pittsburgh in 2032 would? I think it's a valid question, even if I don't think you're going anywhere.
I'll ask it the next time I see Pirates owner Bob Nutting. Absolutely. I have no problem asking that. Ask whatever. I don't care if they get, sorry. I don't know. If I think the general manager's gone. And if you do that, then it's just funky decision-making. But if he's not, yes, I understand. Like, are you trying to do this? You trying to get out of here?
Yeah. I mean, people have asked the question in the way of like, if you're not trying to repeat what the A's did with Oakland, then how would you be how would it be different than what the Pirates are doing right now? The only difference being the Oakland Coliseum and PNC Park are not the same building.
Yeah, all. I mean, just the last thought on this, Adam. Like, what justification could you possibly have for bringing Ben Cherington back? That's what I keep asking myself. Like, what have they done? What have they done? They have a young, inexperienced roster that requires a veteran presence, allegedly, in year 6. Where they're going to win fewer games than they won last year, when last year was already a frustrating step back. Like, how can you believe anything that comes out of their mouth if they don't make a move with the general manager this offseason? That's crazy.
I agree, Jason. Well, hey, we'll pick up plenty of time to pick up this conversation, especially the big picture stuff. But had a lot of fun talking with you about it today. Everyone else, please subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you on board for our weekly Pirates banter and everything Noah Hiles and Colin Beasley are doing on the day-to-day beat. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm, and we will plan to talk to you again next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.